The Daily Song, 365 More Meditations on Music, written by Jim Gaven. Chapter 1, January, A Beautiful Creation. January 1st. By the time a soprano hits those lush high notes, her vocal cords are thwacking together 1,000 times per second, transforming a burst of air from her lungs into music powerful enough to shatter glass. Usama Rashid. Truly remarkable. When you think about singing in this kind of descriptive, visceral way, it makes you appreciate everything going on within a couple body parts to produce musical notes through the act of singing. It is both chaotic and controlled, powerful and beautiful. 1,000 times per second, too? That sounds like the act of singing will perceivably hurt your throat every time you open your mouth to do so, but it doesn't. This just proves that the body has an amazing way of dealing with pain and healing itself on the spot in real time. And to shatter glass with the sound of the human voice? It doesn't seem possible, right? Well, it is, and it has been done. Of course, you have to sing with extreme power and an incredibly high range for a longer period of time than usual, but it has happened. There is only one word to describe all of this: miraculous. Singing is a miracle. Let us be thankful and appreciative of this miracle we get to experience ourselves every day if we want. All you have to do is sing yourself or put on any electronic device where someone is singing to witness it. January 2nd. I grew up in a community that was bilingual. I've done it for a while, singing in both languages. John Cicada. This is great. To be able to sing in more than one language makes you essentially unstoppable. Why? Because if we're able to do so, then the language barrier is broken down. Music is a universal language anyway, so it transcends traditional language just by its inherent nature. How cool is that? When we do something that is transcendent, we make ourselves an invaluable asset to not only the local community, but to the community at large, namely society. So if you are bilingual or even trilingual or more, embrace it. You'll be able to dazzle people with your vocal prowess, making it easier to connect with anyone, anywhere in a deeper way right from the get-go. In essence, you open up the door to more possibilities when you're able to meet more people on their level. Singing yet again for the win. January 3rd. I think singing, when it's done well, is extremely natural. It feels great. Renee Fleming. Couldn't have said it better myself. Whenever we do anything in life that is natural, the product or end result tends to sound and or look great. It's when we try to force something to happen that the end result tends to sound and or look out of place or out of sorts. Think about it. It's like the idea of putting a square peg in a round hole and vice versa. It just doesn't quite fit the right way, no matter how much you try to squeeze it in. The same goes for singing. When we try to go beyond what our natural singing voice is, we may be stretching our vocal cords out for a bit, which is a good thing. We always want to be improving and becoming a better version of ourselves. However, there is a line where it can go too far. And you start to sound like a dying cat, a car screeching its tires and the like. Sometimes we have to push past what our natural abilities are in order to find out where the limit is in our voice range. This is called self-discovery and is an inherently good thing. As human beings, we want to be aware of our faults and flaws as well as our skills and talents. It's good to know both so we can work on our weaknesses as well as continue to hone our strengths to become even more powerful than they were before. All in all, when we do something natural, it feels great not only to us but to anyone watching or listening as well. January 4th. But enough joking. I am singing. This is all my life. Placido Domingo. I love it. Get right to the point. Enough playing around. Placido essentially says he wants to get down to the serious matter of it all. The fact that his focus, his energy, and his time and talent is being put towards singing. For as much as singing can be a lighthearted affair, it can also be very serious to the person who is dedicating their life to the pursuit of becoming one, and then becoming a better version of themselves through it. It's a daily practice of warm-ups, trying to match your vocals to an already existing melody, singing all different kinds of harmonies, and everything else in between. There's a lot that goes into it. Some people have the natural God-given talent where they don't have to try that hard to sound good, while others have to really work at it day in and day out to hone, adapt, and improve upon their skills. It is most certainly an entire life if you choose to go down that route. January 5th. There is no good singing. There is only present and absent. Jeff Buckley. I love the sentiment behind this quote because it removes the idea of judgment from the equation. If we think in terms of no good or bad singing existing, then there is no need to make fun of or give a compliment based on the result of the performance. In this sense, it would be like everyone is a good singer or no one is a good singer. The fact of the matter is it doesn't matter if everyone is good or no one is good. Rather, if we think about singing and other things in life as something or someone being fully present in the moment or fully absent in the moment, it is more accurate and non-judgmental. For instance, if someone is really into what they are doing, the passion, the joy, the power, the melodic vocal prowess will inevitably be heard and have its presence known. It will be obvious to see this person is fully present in what they're doing. Conversely, if someone is going through the motions, singing in less than a give-it-your-all kind of way, the notes will most certainly fall flat, miss the mark, and it will be easy to see and hear that this person is not fully in the moment. In fact, they may be withdrawn, removed, or absent from the performance. Try this exercise out in other areas of life, and you may find it is a better way to think about things, as being fully present or fully absent in the moment. It is up to me. If it is up to me, I'd want to be fully present in the moment. January 6th. The civil rights movement also reaffirmed me as a singer. It taught me that singing was not entertainment, but it was something else. Bernice Johnson Reagan. Well said, Bernice. Well said. Singing is not just entertainment. There's an element of that, of course, but it is so much more than just that. Why does anyone sing first and foremost? Because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel light in your feet. It makes you want to take on the world. Now, singing pertains to the civil rights movement, it did and continues to do wonderful things. Singers use the act and art of singing to make a statement. They would sing and march in unison with other people for a just cause. This kind of singing brings people together for a common meaning or purpose. And as we all know, there is strength in numbers. Singing is inevitably louder than talking, so many people singing make their presence known for longer periods of time. Singing can also be used as a means of creative expression for oneself, but also to practice the freedom of speech and expression. And last but certainly not least, singing has a real tendency to drive away hate and foster love. This is where the real transformation can come from people. January 7th. When I'm singing, I try not to be a singer with a capital S. I just try to get it out so I feel comfortable with it. Robert Wyatt. I love this. It's not about the titles or trying to prove oneself. What it's about is singing for the pure enjoyment and sake of singing. It's the act of doing something because you love it, and not because of the results, accolades, prestige, glitz, or glamour that could come along with it. When we do anything for the right reasons, we are essentially removing our egos from the situation, and this is the best thing we could do in the end. January 8th. My energy to sing, I get it from my singing. Singing was not a reason to make a living. This is the only thing I wanted to do. Nana Muscuri. This is a great example of a positive feedback loop. In order to have the energy to sing, one must start the action of singing first so that the forward momentum has the ability to carry you into the act of more singing and more singing and more singing. It's brilliant and true. The fact that Nana acknowledges that singing was not a reason to make a living is a great observation and revelation for someone to have as a professional recording artist and performer like her. Why? Because it means that she wasn't doing it for the wrong reasons. Her intentions weren't to become rich and famous by singing. Her intention with singing was much more real, organic, and pure, since she states it is the only thing she wanted to do. When you have a genuine interest in pursuing something, the motivation is not usually money. After all, when you do something solely for money, then the joy tends to get sucked out of it. Time tends to drag on while doing it, and you feel as if meaning and purpose has been lost in the shuffle. Let this be a reminder to us all that we owe it to ourselves to do something because we enjoy the act of doing it. We enjoy the process of figuring something out, figuring various things out over time. And just maybe we enjoy making others feel good while we do it as well. This last reason isn't essential, but it can give us a sense of meaning and purpose, like we are connected to our fellow brothers and sisters on the earth. January 9th. It's okay to spin around and around in the same place, just so long as you're singing your heart out. That's what life is all about. Chika Umino. Life is about living loud and proud, and this is exactly what singing your heart out entails, putting all you have into what you were doing for the sake of the song in a powerful, memorable performance. If we pour all the energy, time, and focus we have into singing, then we won't have to worry if we gave it our best. We can rest assured knowing we absolutely tried our best, so we have to be happy with whatever comes of that result or achievement-wise. The same goes for living life. If we pour all the energy, time, and focus we have into living the best kind of life we envision for ourselves, then we won't have to worry if we left anything in the field at the end of it. We can rest assured knowing we lived our lives to the absolute best of our abilities and will have no regrets because of our efforts. January 10th. That, to me, was really certainly the gateway into discovering John. I feel I found the speaking voice through the singing voice, Joaquin Phoenix. What a great way to look at a situation by studying one part or area in such detail so as to best extrapolate the thing you are looking to find and then copy, replicate. It might seem counterintuitive to find a speaking voice through a singing voice, but now with Johnny Cash, Joaquin is referring to his role playing the Southern country star in the movie Walk the Line here, and he couldn't be more right about his approach. Since Johnny sings as if he is talking, a sort of talk singing, if you will, the two almost go hand in hand. All you have to do is put a little quiver or shakiness in your throat when singing a song in the style of Johnny Cash, and there's his singing voice. His speaking voice is very similar to this, so it's a minor adjustment or tweak to achieve the desired effect result. The moral of the story is to not overthink it. Sometimes it really is that easy. Let us remember that there is genius in simplicity, and this is a perfect example of that idea. January 11th. I always wanted to sing. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to make the singing happen. Rita Wilson. At first glance, this may seem like a completely defeatist attitude, and in a way it is. However, we can learn a lot from these three short sentences as it applies to life. Rita admits that she's always wanted to sing. This is a first great step. Acknowledgement. To have the ability to pinpoint something you always wanted to do is not always the easiest or most apparent thing. Once you do, a lot of the mental energy you would otherwise expend trying to figure out can be saved for other more important things. She then goes on to say, I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to make the singing thing happen. This is okay. Just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean you'll never figure it out. If you have a passion for something, a bit of natural God-given talent, and put the work in, it would surprise me very much if you didn't find your own way or pave your own particular path in a particular industry, area, or field you're going after with your time and energy. All in all, don't give up. You have what it takes inside of you. It's just a matter of discovering it and bringing it to light. January 12th. In the distance, someone is singing. Pablo Neruda. Existential observation. In the distance, someone is definitely singing. However, it doesn't just have to be in the distance. It can be right where you presently are in time and space. It can be within you. It can be in the same room, in the same house, in the same church, in the same car, in the same store, etc., etc. What's profound about this quote is that it is a reminder that even though we may be oceans apart, that we may be on opposite sides of the world, our voice matters. It can be heard far and wide, as unlikely as that may seem. After all, when we sing, our voice creates a wave that gets sent out into the atmosphere. It doesn't just die or disappear after we sing a musical note or string of notes to make up a song, an album, a concert, or the like. It reverberates for a long time throughout the earth and even into outer space. This is why we could still hear static on the radio. Did you know static on the radio is the residual sound from the creation of the universe? The sound continues to be heard to this day, almost 14 billion years later. How amazing is that? January 13th. God respects me when I work, but he loves me when I sing. Rabindranath Tagore. This might be true if it were said about anyone else but God. I am from the belief that God respects you and loves you at all times, everywhere, because God is love. In fact, if our work is singing, or singing is our work, then don't they go hand in hand? He loves you no matter what, because he made you in his image, and it would surprise me to learn that God didn't love himself. So, we can deduce that since God is love and he made you in his image, he loves you. Now, there have been saints who have mentions singing and how it involves the praise and love of God. St. Augustine, who has been quoted multiple times throughout the 4 books we currently have in this series of 365 meditations on music, says, when we sing, we are praising God twice. In addition to the above, there is something to be said about singing and the love it provides. It does so not only for anyone listening, but also for the person singing. This is especially so for songs that are outwardly about love. It's like a double love, if you will. January 14th. I'd always been quite quiet growing up, and singing was a way of having a voice. Leona Lewis. It's hard for me to imagine Leona Lewis, the powerhouse singer from the UK, was quiet at one point in her life. But everyone was a child at some point, and maybe she didn't grow into her comfort zone with her body and voice until she was a teenager or adult. It's great that she found something to allow her to express herself creatively, like singing. In this way, I bet singing brought out more confidence, helped her become more of a social butterfly, and encouraged her to not fear taking chances in conversations. After all, singing has a great way of helping us articulate our words loudly and clearly so that everyone not only hears and understands what we are singing, but can feel the emotion of it all as well. January 15th. My singing silenced the bullies, but better than that, it silenced the demons inside me. When you're jeered at, told to shut up, sit still, stop being silly, there's a cacophony of noise rolling around in your head. When I was singing, it was peaceful. Susan Boyle. What a beautiful way to use the art and act of singing to foster inner peace within yourself. It's a shame that Susan, and I'm sure many other people throughout the world, had to go through all of those negative experiences, put-downs, and hurtful words while doing something she genuinely enjoyed and was, and still is, extremely good at. After hearing all these negative things for so long, you start to believe them, even if they're not true. The moral of the story in my mind is to go out and sing your song and sing it loud and proud. By singing to your heart's desire, the sound of your singing will drown out the critics, naysayers, and negative Nancys and calm any of the bad thoughts that you've created on your own. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy in our minds, so let us remember to be kind to ourselves. Singing is a great way to do so. January 16th. Yes, my first memory of singing in general was a Christmas song. And then listening to Christmas music was really the first music I was ever connected to, Christina Perri. I can't think of a better first memory of singing, to be honest. Christmas songs are celebratory, anticipatory, and bring about awe and wonder as it pertains to awakening our inner child. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. However, if you were to ask most people what their first memory of singing was, I don't think they would readily admit that it was Christmas music. Why is this the case? Because sometimes Christmas songs can be a bit hokey, and they can really only be sung during one time of the year, not the entire year. And to be associated with something hokey is an idea for most people. In the end, it's all about being honest with yourself, what truly resonates with you, not letting social norms or pressures sway you in either direction. So if Christmas music does a trick for you, then by all means listen to it and embrace it with your whole heart and soul. January 17th, singing is the sound of the soul, James Runcie. I couldn't agree more. We can equate it like this, for example. Talking is the sound of the human voice in a very physical way as it works its way through the vocal cords and out of your mouth. Since singing is a more passionate, creative, beautiful, powerful, and louder form of talking, where does it come from? It has to come from something beyond or deeper than the physicality of our bodies, our souls. When we sing, we have to dig deeper to portray the emotions of those words in such a way that it is not seen by the untrained eye or heard by the untrained ear. In essence, it is something elusive that we can't quite put our finger on, the soul. Every person has one, but it's not something that we can visibly see. We can see it through our actions towards others by being kind, but not in a person's face, let's say, or tattooed on their body somewhere. Some may call it a conscience, whatever you'd like to call it. Our soul is what is begging to be heard, and singing is a great way for it to do so and make its presence known. January 18th. I've been singing one kind of a genre for a long time, but have always tried to push to new auras about picking new songs with the same kind of genre, but trying to sing it differently, treating it differently. Arijit Singh. What a great way to look at not only singing, but life in general. You're so right, sir. Even though you may have sung and currently sing in one particular genre or style, it doesn't mean you are strapped to it forever. The beauty of music is that You do have the ability to explore it many different ways. You could take a jazz standard and turn it into a reggae song. You could take a rock and roll song and turn it into a folk rendition, and on and on and on. You get the point. It's not only fun to explore music and singing in this kind of way, but it's also a bit challenging. You get to really work on your outside-of-the-box creative way of thinking in a very real way. This is how you can truly make something your own. And in doing all these things, you will inevitably grow. Yes, at first it is a bit uncomfortable stepping outside of your comfort zone or wheelhouse, if you will, but I know you will see sooner rather than later that it will be totally worth it as it pertains to inner and outer growth. To look at something and approach it from a different lens gives us quite a unique perspective. Maybe, just maybe, it will help open our eyes and ears up to going after life in a brand new way with more zest and zeal and purpose and meaning. There's an old quote I really like that goes something to the effect of, you never step in the same river twice. Even though the river is essentially the same, like the Mississippi River, when you travel throughout your life, you might step in that river with more baggage than before. At the very least, the river will never be exactly the same because there will be new precipitation that fell into it, maybe some new logs and sticks that found its way into it, new marine life that was born into it. Therefore, the contents of the river have changed. Let us think about this as we go about our daily lives. January 19th. I really enjoy singing. It's entirely different to acting because I'm just being myself. Michelle Dockery. This is all we ought to be doing in life anyway, to just be ourselves. There was an old saying, be yourself because everyone else is already taken. The same goes for singing. Sing the way that comes most natural to you. Don't try to be a copycat of someone else because the world has seen and heard enough people singing and acting, dancing, just like Elvis. Even though some people may be really good impersonators or tribute artists, they will never 100% accurately portray whoever they are seeking to portray. Why? Because it's not possible to know what went on in Elvis's head, for example. And it's not possible to replicate every single move he did exactly the way he did it. There's a reason why Elvis and many of the artists did so well and became so famous. They were and are truly original, crafting their own style over time, becoming truly original. When we sing, we have the ability to do just that, be truly original. We owe it to ourselves to do so. January 20th. My version of lip syncing is singing full out with the track, Megan Hilty. I love it. The best way to combat the ridiculousness that is lip syncing is by singing as loud as you can along with whatever song is being played. Therefore, you're not lip syncing, but actually singing and performing the song in real time. Being a singer-songwriter, this is the real, honest, authentic, organic way to perform. As Old Spice used to say, anything less would be uncivilized. Lip syncing is such a cop-out and a truly deceitful, get it? Haha, act to the audience. It's easy to see and hear someone who is lip syncing and someone who is actually singing. The main huge difference is that whoever is actually singing doesn't hit every single note perfectly and at the perfect intensity or intimacy as a recording, breathes in between notes and words, and looks like they tired themselves out after performing a song. Usually when a song is performed live, it's sung or played faster than the recording, since the adrenaline rush that comes from performing tends to take over. Think about it. No one sounds perfect and just like the recording, and if they do, it means they're lip syncing. Be real, be raw, be authentic, be honest. Don't lip sync. You lose all kinds of respect for yourself as a person and as an artist. Sing for real, flaws, blemishes, faults, and all. January 21st. I think I hid my singing talent from a lot of my friends at school because I didn't want to alienate anyone. If everyone was singing along in the car to a Madonna song, I didn't join in because when we're younger, we're afraid of sticking out or showing off. When in fact, we should own those things that make us really unique. Idina Menzel. I know exactly what you're talking about, Adina. When I was younger, I didn't raise my hand as much as I could have in class because I didn't want the other students, my peers, to think I was a know-it-all or a brown-noser. I also didn't think of doing anything creative or outside of the box until I entered the 11th grade of high school, where I started to dive into music and dress in layers of multicolored clothing because I was fearful of showing my true self. Why was I so fearful of sticking out and being unique? Because there is this peer pressure to fit in, to be like everyone else and do what the cool kids are doing. And the cool kids were not playing instruments or dressing crazily. The cool kids were going to parties wearing baggy jeans, saggy shorts, frosting the tips of their hair, hanging out at Wendy's after school, drinking at bonfires in the woods, and driving around way too fast with their cars. But I really wasn't into all of that. I was into hanging out with my friends, playing guitar and jamming, playing soccer, and anything we could do sports-wise outside, and go to the movies. Even though I was considered a jock because I played soccer at high school, and usually the jocks are cool, I didn't consider myself with the cool in crowd. I took AP courses, made friends with as many people as possible, and lived the straight-edge lifestyle. This was definitely counter to what the cool kids were doing, and you know what? I feel like it did me a lot of good to do something different than the crowd, to swim upstream instead of along with the current most people were swimming. It helped me find my true self, discover my voice, learn about what brings me joy, peace, love, and work on my passions without hesitation. At the end of the day and at the end of our lives, will we look back on it and think, I didn't have a single original thought and didn't take any chances? Or I live life in the best, most unique way that was true to who I am deep down inside? I'd rather the latter. Embrace your unique gifts, talents, and skills. Don't shy away from or bury them. You don't know the difference you could be making or the opportunities that may come your way. It's okay to just be yourself. After all, everyone else is already taken. January 22nd. I've learned a lot of things about myself through singing. I used to have a certain dislike of the audience, not as individual people, but as a giant body who was judging me. Of course, it wasn't really them judging me, it was me judging me. Once I got past that fear, it freed me up, not just when I was performing, but in other parts of my life. Julie Andrews. This quote really speaks to the heart of the matter as it relates to the thoughts in our head. Even though we have thoughts of this or that, we don't have to believe them. I mean, how exhausting and non-productive would you be if you listened to and acted on every single thought you ever had? It would drive you crazy. The same thing goes with an audience, as Julie puts it here. Our mind might be telling us that people are judging you, but it could all be a lie. You could be the only one judging you, and sometimes we could be our own worst enemy or critic. Ease up on yourself. Take it easy. Be kinder to yourself. The fact that this personal judgment can strike so much fear into your heart to the point of non-action or paralysis is alarming. It means you are letting your thoughts dictate so much of what you think is going on around you or what is actually going on around you in a negative way. Although it's easier said than done, try not to overthink things and rather follow your intuition, your instinct, your gut feeling on the situation at hand, whatever that may be. When you do this, anxiety, worry, doubt, and fear tend to wash away. And joy, peace, love, happiness, inspiration, and confidence take over in the best way. You are free, and being free is a great way to be when engaging in anything, especially in a beautifully creative act like singing. January 23rd. I still love to walk in the mountains or be on the sea. I like to be in nature. Sometimes I bicycle. It's important to feel good with your body. The body is extremely important. If you feel good, you have more energy in your singing. Cecilia Bartoli. I couldn't agree more. There's something so restorative, healing, and inspiring about nature. It's hard to describe the entirety of the feelings I have and benefits I receive from time spent wandering in the woods, hiking up a mountain, walking along the beach shoreline, sitting near a river, lake, etc., etc. It not only makes my body feel great for being amidst the greatness that is nature, but it gives me a much-needed reset for whatever is draining my energy mentally. When you're in nature in this intensive kind of way, you can't help but put all your focus and energy into taking the next step. Your senses are heightened to what's around you at all times. You start to pay attention to your breath more, and the worries of the world start to melt away bit by bit. Whenever I spent multiple hours in nature at a time, the nonsense, distractions, and noise that society tends to throw at me doesn't seem to matter anymore. And what's really important in my life, family, friends, music, relationships, meaningful experiences, vacations, trips, comes to the surface. A whole new perspective is provided to me, and I am reassured that all is right in the world, that things are the way they should be. When life feels like this, then it's hard not to be at peace. And lately, when I'm at peace, I'm happy. As a result, my energy is up, and this most certainly translates into the music I create and everything I create for that matter. Bottom line is that nature fills me with energy, and this energy is put into making a difference with music. Singing definitely fits into this output of energy for several hours a day. It's a positive feedback loop that continues to fill my tank over and over again. January 24th, singing is one preparation for heaven. Joseph Gurney Bevan. It most certainly is one preparation for heaven. I've read articles and stories from scholars, philosophers, theologians, and lay people who express this kind of sentiment as far as what heaven might be like. The main consensus is that we could be praising God through singing forever. To be honest, I couldn't think of a better way to spend eternity. It only makes sense. Number one, if singing in church means you are praising God twice, once through the lyrics, words, and the song, and another by singing the lyrics, words of the song, then this is a great indication of what heaven might be like. And the coolest thing is we get to experience a taste of it here on earth. Number two, the Bible speaks of choirs of angels already in heaven, so there are already great songs being sung. We can all just add to the harmonies and sing loud and proud for God, and all to hear when we make our way there. January 25th. I have been singing for as long as I could talk. Delta Goodrum. What's so amazing about this quote is that we learn to sing before we even learn to speak. It is so built in to our mode of being that babies and toddlers hum tones and melodies when they hear them on the radio, on TV and YouTube, and a live performance and the like. So Delta is right on point when she says she's been singing for as long as she could talk. In fact, she's been singing before she could talk, but I digress. What I believe Delta is getting at is the idea that she's been singing for a long time, and I'm sure cannot think of a time in her life when she wasn't doing so. I can't think of a better way to spend your days than pursuing something like music, especially through the art of singing. It makes not only the performer feel great in the moment and way after the fact, but anyone who is listening to the singer. Of course, I'm a bit biased being a musician, but this is the truth of the matter. January 26th. I want to still be singing at 70 years old. I want to be open to the dreams I haven't dreamed up. Fantasia Barrino. This is a great goal to have, to want to be pursuing your passion still at 70 years old. Many people in the world who are over the age of 65 are retired and not looking to try a whole new bunch of new things out. You see, there's a lot of truth in this statement. When we get older, we become more set or stuck in our ways. Therefore, it's hard to change our mode of thinking, even to try a new place to eat or go to a new place we haven't been before. There's comfortability and familiarity in doing what we know and thinking what we already think. Fantasia has it right when she says, I want to be open to the dreams I haven't dreamed up, because the only way to grow is to try something new, to go out of your comfort zone. Singing is a great way to do this, because even though there is a familiarity to it, you can sing with other people. If you're a soloist, join a choir, try singing in different genres, try singing with an accent. The same can be done with any other area of life. It's all about how you look at it and how you choose to live yours. Let's be open to new opportunities and experiences and not shut them down before they even have a chance to blossom. January 27th. I wanted to bring back that big ballad type of music that we used to love so much. Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, when they first came out, that's what I grew up singing. LaToya London. The great thing about this is that you don't actually need to bring it back, Latoya. It's been here the entire time and never went away. But this is a great example of the yearning of musicians and performers to make their mark on the world through their craft. In Latoya's case, it is both subjective and objective. It's subjective in the fact that she thought or believed that the big ballad type of music was present anymore, and that she felt compelled to bring it back, if you will. Of course, that was based more off of personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. It's objective in the fact that the opposite of what she believed was true, that the facts and reality of the situation told us music like Whitney Houston's and Mariah Carey's never went away. Once music is created, it is always here for us to listen to and to appreciate and enjoy. That is, of course, we don't lose or break the playback device for the music. Plus, there were other artists who came after these two amazing vocalists before Latoya came onto the scene. Were they as powerful and as passionate as Whitney and Mariah? Maybe not. Were they as popular as them? Most definitely not. But they were around somewhere in the world, writing, creating, and performing their own brand of big ballad-type music. You just might have to dig for them a little more than simply turning on whatever popular radio station you want to find them. January 28th. My singing is part of me, like my stoutness or my light hair or my poor eyesight, Kate Smith. I can attest to this quote being the case 100%. I've said this about my acoustic guitar as well, because I'm constantly carrying it with me from one place to place, venue to venue, gig to gig, if you will. To me, it feels like as if I have an extra appendage, like a third arm. The same goes for singing, in that if you do it all the time, like it is a part of your daily routine. It is a literal and metaphorical part of you. It's as if you were embodying the lyrics, the music, the melodies, and all the songs and making them a part of you, just like your skin is a part of you or your fingers are a part of you. Like many of the other quotes in this book, we can apply this kind of logic and rationale to other areas of life as well. It doesn't just have to be with singing, though it is nice that it works out like that way for such a thing as singing. For instance, if you enjoy painting and creating art, the act of doing this becomes a part of you as well. You start to look at the world through a different lens when in the act of creation or performance, therefore changing the way you act and live in the world. It has become such a part of you that it encourages growth and becoming a more well-rounded version of yourself. Amazing stuff all around. January 29th. I'm very soulful. I grew up singing in church. When I sing a song, I like to feel what I'm singing. Fantasia Barrino. This is exactly what singers, performers, and musicians ought to be doing with every song they perform. If you don't internalize what you are singing in some way, shape, or form, you are essentially doing a disservice to the song and to the muse. There is something amazing about singing traditional hymns and religious songs. For one, it's beautiful and powerful to praise God, and you get to do that twice when you sing these kinds of songs, especially in church. Another idea to stew on is the notion that when you sing in church, you are singing with a big group of people. As the old saying goes, there is power in numbers. Be it singing in the choir, singing as part of the congregation, there is this feeling of oneness, togetherness, harmony, if you will. Since you are already in a place of worship, peace, and holiness, it brings everything and everyone together in a special way. So when we are in this kind of setting, it is definitely easier to feel what you are singing. But this doesn't have to be just reserved to just singing in church, although it is a great place to start. You could take this setting of church and bring it out into the world. After all, I believe that is what God would want us to do. If we leave God only in church and don't bring his faith, works, and beauty into the world, an example, music and singing, then you would be missing an important element in the grand scheme of things. Bringing people together through a literal and metaphorical harmony is a wonderful thing to do, and to embody a song's lyrics and music when performing is the ticket. This can be done with any genre: hip-hop, rap, country, pop, rock, the list goes on and on. January 30th. When people come up to me and say, "Oh, your singing made me cry," it's nice to realize that you're making other people happy, but I don't know how I do it. I just sing. Farrell Smith. This is one of the highest compliments to get as a singer. I mean, to be able to make someone feel something so intense that they feel the need to let it out with a cry is nothing short of amazing. It's exactly what you want as a singer, as long as those tears are happy tears. Farrell is right on the money when she says, it's nice to realize that you're making other people happy, because sometimes as performers, we don't know the impact we're having unless someone flat out tells us. As far as the end of the sentence goes, I believe this is a great exercise in humility. To bring it all back to, I don't know how I do it, I just sing, means she is so involved in what she's doing that she's not worrying about anything else. She's 100% in the moment, and this is where the magic usually happens with anything you set your mind to. No distractions, no noise, just laser focus. January 31st. I had no desire to become a singer until I heard Billie Holiday. The first time I heard her on a record, it was a revelation. She sounded like a woman singing about herself, Susanna McCorkle. This is so cool. To be inspired by another person doing what you want to do. That is the good stuff of life. And it is what we ought to be striving to do with our time, inspiring others. In fact, once we find that inspiration somewhere else, we can then embody it within ourselves, play around with it as we see fit, and then release our own brand of it into the world for others to enjoy. Susanna readily admits that she had no desire to sing until she heard one particular singer. It just kind of goes to show the kind of impact we can all have on each other as human beings. All it takes is one person to look up to, one person to want to emulate, one person to encourage you to go after that dream, passion, hobby, career. Without even knowing it, you are building confidence just by listening and learning to whatever person or thing is inspiring you at a given moment. Why? Because you see them already accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So it's easier to think and believe, hey, if they can do that as a human being, just like me, I can do that too. The second half of the quote is revelatory as well, because to give off the impression of singing about yourself means that you probably are singing about yourself. It's not the easiest thing to do, because you are being immediately vulnerable by putting yourself out there in this kind of way. It's brave, courageous, and ultimately inspiring.